Welcome everyone to our weekly All Lives Matter call with Dr. Alex and Dr. Peck. Before we get started, I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Because we're going to be talking about issues of health and well-being, we want to make sure you understand this information is not intended to treat, heal, diagnose, or cure everything or anything. Everything in the presentation is the opinions of Dr. Alex Loyd and Dr. David Peck, and you if you choose to share. You should always check with a licensed healthcare provider about any specific health concerns you may have. So Dr. Peck, I will hand it over to you.
And welcome everybody. Alex will be hopefully here very soon. So this is our All Lives Matter call every Wednesday. And I'm Dr. David Peck, and Alex will be here shortly. And we're trying to spread the word and reveal the truth and spread the truth about why and how we are exposed and are constantly bombarded ourselves with stress, essentially, and how that stress occurs, why it occurs, and most importantly, how we can cut the stress. That's really the key. And that's the key with these healing methods, is that they go to the source. And I know I'm preaching to the pew, but they go to the source of the stress. Other modalities that have been around for centuries, like meditation, etc., yeah, they decrease your stress, but they're not going to the actual source, the trigger. It's the memories. And I did a little something this week about stress and being a doctor and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I don't remember. I went to medical school, and did training, and I had a 24-year career as a scientist and 30 years of seeing patients. And, I was your ER doc. I was your OR surgeon telling you everything was okay after the procedure. I was your ICU doctor having end-of-life care. I say, I don't really hear anywhere in all of that much about stress and disease. In fact, I don't remember hearing much of anything in medical school about that, except maybe the type A personality who got a heart attack. And now, today in 2022, we know so much about stress and disease and how important it is. And so, I always like to say this, and I think Alex also, sort of got it sort of a kick out of it. But, honestly, everyone that goes to the doctor should have a prescription for Healing Code or Trilogy. Anyway, so we're on the call, and we've been reviewing topics and giving you custom processes, energy medicine processes that will address specific issues. And the other part of this is that we want to also highlight the fact that these are not isolated issues that are just specific to certain people. They're general categories of issues that everyone has. Some people have more of this and more of that, but they're common to everybody. And that's why we call them systemic, because they're all over our whole society. Issues of guilt or whatever it is, or shame. We've been going through the list. So the other aspect of systemic deals with the fact that it involves your entire body. When the stress mechanisms that are triggered by the negative emotions, by essentially the memories, like the day dad did whatever or mom did whatever, they're triggering many different pathways, complex pathways. And so I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but I did lose my thought now. I'm sorry. Anyway, so the topic for today is foolish pride, or wrongful pride, or pride, just pride versus pride, good pride versus bad pride. And I'm really interested to hear what Alex has to say about this, because again, we're going back to the category of humility. And I just want to sort of outline again the categories, since I have the opportunity to just ramble on today, is that these categories, these came to Alex, Dr. Loyd, during the download, during the time he got the healing codes. There's really 9 basic categories. And, it starts with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trust, humility, self-control. And those, in that, there's basically every human emotion. And up front in the program is three other, he calls them inhibitors, but three other categories that deal with resentment, unhealthy habits, and limiting beliefs. And, you know, it should be understood that those are separate categories also, but they are pervasive in all of the other categories also, where they can be there. So in other words, in the love category, you certainly could have limiting beliefs, you know, etc. So, but in any event, the humility category is the category that we actually spent quite a bit of time on. And, you know, although there's those 9, I'll just refer to the 9 categories. You know, when it comes to the problems that people have, you know, the major problems, they tend to be, you know, heavily in certain categories. And so we have focused on that. And again, and so this one again is in that category of humility. And the basic issue is that you're not believing the truth about yourself, essentially. In other words, other people have to think something about you in order for you to be convinced that that's true. So you're constantly trying to either put an image on for that, or trying to, you know, could manipulate situations, et cetera, in order to get, you know, whatever it is that, you know, you are seeking to be, whether it's the smartest or the prettiest or, you know, et cetera. So this healthy wrongful pride, you know, I look at wrongful pride, you know, I just look at, but, you know, I have stories of my parents, you know, they were in Korea in high school, and in Korea, high school was a big deal. They had to, you know, it decided the rest of their life, you know, essentially, right? So that once you got into college, your life was set, et cetera. But my mother went to the top high school in Korea, Gyeonggi High School, and she was always like, Gyeonggi, and so proud and all this kind of stuff. And my dad went to the worst high school named Chungdong, and he was always down as that. And I just remember it was sort of it was like a playful thing in a way, but it really was more than just playful, because, you know, when we would get with other parents, you know, and their friends and such like that, you know, it is really, it's like a boast and toast, one-upmanship kind of thing. And, you know, everyone's trying to be more, you know, proud of their this or that, you know. So anyway, you know, that's one of my memories of or examples of that sort of wrongful pride. You know, just because you went to that high school in Korea, like, I don't understand how you could, you know, how it doesn't really make sense that you would be like, for the rest of your life you could like claim something. And I actually see that as a bit of an issue even now with things like Ivy League educations and things like that. You know, it's really it's not about like the name. It's actually not. It's actually about what's in your head, you know, and what's in your heart, actually, really, when it comes down to it. So those are the, you know, that's my story. You know, the other thing that I would say about this, you know, that proudful thing is it's really, you know, a protective mechanism, really. You know, it is, you know, it's like when you feel inferior for whatever reason. And, you know, my parents, they basically felt really inferior. I mean, they immigrated from Korea right after the Korean War in the 1950s. And, you know, they were the only Asians practically in the whole country. Honestly, you know, there were Chinese in the other areas, but, you know, Koreans, there weren't many, and there weren't many Asians either. So at least in the area we were in. And so, you know, they were subject to a lot of, you know, I guess, racism, essentially, you know, because they were Asian, you know, et cetera. So, you know, they felt very inferior, I'm sure. And so there was a lot of this prideful, you know, with my mom, we always had to look, you know, you have to, you know, there's an expression in Korea, it's called sunghae, and that's like, you know, embarrassing, you know, don't embarrass us, you know. So we had to do this kind of thing. But so, you know, that was there. And then also the other point I wanted to make was that, the difference between being prideful and foolish prideful, and I'm not talking about being appropriately proud of something, and I would actually say, before I go into the next point, is that the difference between that wrongful pride and healthy pride, I believe, is the intention behind whatever the proudness is about. Okay, so then the other thing was that this fear of rejection, which I think is not actually, it's sort of that too proud to ask. That's not actually proudful. That's actually like a fear of rejection. So I just didn't want to sort of make that distinction between being too proud to ask and then, but that's not really pride. That's not what we're talking about here. So yeah, and the definitions of pride, self-respect, satisfaction and achievement, but there's also that sort of an arrogant conduct, that the negative aspects of the pride. So, those are the two that, we have the positive, the good pride, and what are some more examples of what we would consider? I wanted to use the term rightful pride versus wrongful pride, and I thought that would be, but I'd like to know, because I'm really not sure myself, is what are the good examples of rightful pride? It sort of seems like a fine line between like just saying like, oh yeah, I'm proud of the fact that like I'm putting an engine in a car, this is my first time I put an engine in a car. And I was like, I'm proud of that, versus like, when it gets going to be like, oh, look how great I am or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't even see that in myself, how I think it would be very fuzzy. Like I'd be okay at the beginning, and before I know it, I'd be falling off into the end. It's like bragging or something,
I was just gonna say so in the manual, the body system that's most affected by stress in the area of pride is the cardiovascular system, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, I think we have, like in our family, we've had a lot of issues with that body system. So that's kind of one of the big ones for us.
I'm still sort of surveying and evaluating the whole concept of body systems and healing code, also, I'm because I don't know that much about that, and I'd be interested to hear what Alex has to say about, how is it how are those associations derived, and
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that certain emotions can be related to certain physiology and body system. Like I'm not aware of that. I thought it was, that it could be more like it's a global thing, but so I mean, it's quite possible that in your family you could have, several issues. I don't know necessarily I would make a strong correlation, but I mean, there's no harm in that either. But to understand,
I remember and I remember reading too that if you have a physical manifestation, like if it's already gotten to the point where it's manifesting in the physical, that you can try to target that system, use so like in the flagship book, the original 24 codes.
Yeah.
They said, well, you can, use the codes that are directed more to that system, but remember that all the systems are connected. So, still make time to work in the other, eventually do all the codes and address all the issues. So for instance, like in the love category, that's our affects our hormones, or that's directly connected to our hormonal system.
endocrine.
So So if you think about, your hormones, that's kind of like, everything. That's gonna
Yeah,
that's touching everything.
yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to see how they're all rather connected. I mean, if your blood is, if your blood is part of your cardiovascular system, that's kind of running through everything in your body too. So I could definitely
That is exactly the
see that.
point, April. That's so important. Exactly the point. Like if you get like that's the whole, that is the point, is that it's affecting all the body systems, because the hormones go all over, but so do all the other chemicals, the ones that are released by epinephrine, with the autonomic nervous system, and the immune system. The immune cells are everywhere also. So that's exactly the point. But I just wanted to go back a minute, April, because if you say that, that's interesting when you say there's family, like if there's a family issue, like I have told about the Peck's character thing, the judgmental, I mean, but if you realize that there's, okay, our family's always had that, that's something that would be good. You could address that, that could be helpful for yourself, to identify. And you probably already done this, but and just
Well, no, I need to get better about it. And it's very interesting to me. The energy part is so fascinating to me. When I was part of their LT3 program, or I guess it kind of is a continuing program, but I went, I think it was 2016, shortly after my dad passed, like maybe a year after my dad passed, and he died of oh, what's it called? Congestive heart failure.
Mhm.
And they do the, I mean, I'm fascinated by all that you have to do is, and you can even do it on recording. Like you could call them up if for whatever reason they, were not there, you couldn't meet at the appointed time, and leave a recording and say, I desire to be healthy. And somehow they can read that and find you a lifetime code. For instance, for the health code, that probably that was, part of what went in the health code, is it's gonna address those generational issues that were affecting us, almost like a thread, like a thread of, not to say that it hit everybody, but so many of our family members, um, down through the generations. And possibly, possibly there was well, I mean, I guess there, some trauma way back when. Who knows when?
Yeah,
Like the one, yeah, like the one was, who was the guy that wrote the emotion code, and they traced that one lady's issues back generations, using her subconscious memories, which is supposed to be
yeah.
so powerful and know a lot more than our
No,
conscious minds. Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing stuff that, yeah, it's almost, you almost can't, describe it, right?
It's
It's like,
pretty strange. Yeah.
yeah,
The sometimes you can feel the energy. Have you ever been doing some of this stuff and you just like feel or almost hear the energy? It's wild.
exactly. I just call it the zone, actually. It's like this buzz, right?
Yeah.
But it's
It's
doing,
pretty incredible, but I'm very grateful. Yeah. Praise God. I'm glad that, and I know that Dr. Alex, he's like, pray 10 times more to do this stuff. I'd rather have a miraculous healing, but I feel like it all is, gifts from above. So
uh-huh. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's amazing stuff. And I actually like to call it brain sterilization. Like, yeah,
yeah.
something's happening in there. And, this is something I'm actually interested in this and trying to study this more, because people are starting to look at what is actually happening with other techniques also. There's other, EFT and other techniques also, but what's actually happening, when you have that shift, how you have that energetic shift where suddenly things aren't bothering you as much anymore, or whatever
Yes,
it
sir.
is, better, what is happening chemically, that's really
Yeah, that's
interesting.
pretty wild.
Yeah. Anyway. So, but thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. And thank you again for
Thank
the
y'all.
topic
Yes,
question.
sir. Thank you.
I don't have a trilogy today, but I do have a healing code custom. So this is for all that, the pride, the wrongful pride, the pride, people we all may keep that holds us back, that creates negative emotions that are slowly sort of degrading us in a way, to heal all that. So we pray that all destructive negative cellular memories, unhealthy habits, false limiting beliefs and addictions, any relationship issues related to systemic, wrongful, or false, foolish pride of the humility category, to be found, opened, and healed through love, light, truth, and God. Okay, and the first position is both hands in the jaws, healing foolish, wrongful pride. Second position, left hand brain stem. Left hand bridge, right hand Adam's apple. Sorry about that. Left hand bridge, right hand Adam's apple. And we usually do 2 cycles of this, just for time's sake, but really 3 cycles would be good. That's usually the basic number. Third position, both hands bridge. And the fourth position, left hand jaw, right hand temple. And we'll do 1 more cycle of this for wrongful pride. Okay, first position, both hands, jaws. Left hand bridge, right hand Adam's apple. Second position. Okay, third position, both hands, bridge. And the fourth position, left hand jaw, right hand temple. And back to position 1, both hands, jaws. Okay, now I'm just going to go through the universal trilogy and use this healing code. Okay, so let's start with the tapping. These are acupuncture points and meridians. The universal trilogy starts above the eyebrows, just tapping 5 to 10 times. Side of the eyes, under the eyes, under the nose, on the chin, collarbones, sore spot, center of the chest, under the arms, under the nipples, finger, thumb, index finger, little finger, side of hand, and the 9G. Eyes open, closed, open again, down to the left, down to the right, circle left, circle right. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum again. Okay, now just go back to the healing code that we did a minute ago for systemic pride, both hands in the jaws. Left hand bridge, right hand Adam's apple. Both hands bridge. And left hand jaw, right hand temple. Okay, and now going to minute 3, the governing and conception vessels and chakra energy centers, starting down at the pubic bone, the root or base, going up all the way over to the top. Governing and conception vessels 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go to the chakra energy centers. We're just going to start from the bottom and go all the way up, starting on the pubic bone, the base or root. Open and harmonize. Just open and harmonize. Just sort of rubbing in a circle there. Okay, and then just below the belly button now, that's the lower abdomen, open and harmonize. And the upper abdomen above the umbilicus, open and harmonize. And the heart area, open and harmonize. Throat, open and harmonize. Open and harmonize. Third eye, open and harmonize. And crown, open and harmonize. Open and harmonize. Okay, that's it. Sometimes I put my hand on my head. Sometimes I just rest my hands across my chest like this. Just to let it sink in. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to sort of make this point last week. I just wanted to describe, since we're talking about the chakras, different chakras, and just sort of to give everyone an idea anatomically, the actual structures that are back there. You know, the pubic, yes, that's, you know, the right on your pubic bone, that's the thinnest part of the pelvis. There's 2 pelvic bones, and right in the center there, you can feel it. There's a bump over top of it. Well, you know, that's the sex organs and rectum, basically, and the perineum down there, the sphincter complex. Then as you go up above that, you get into the bladder and uterus in women, but also the rectum and the sympathetic nerves down and parasympathetic chains that are down in your pelvis. Then as you go up above the umbilicus, above the belly button, you're in, and also down below, you have all kinds of intestines, large and small intestines down there, appendix is down there. But as you move up above the umbilicus or the belly button, you get into the pancreas, the gallbladder, the liver is in that area, and back behind there's also the kidneys and the aorta and such. Up in the chest, you have the heart, lungs, but you also have the trachea, and trachea divides. You have the esophagus, a thoracic duct also. As you go up here, and there is the thymus also in here. You have the thyroid gland. You have different mechanisms for controlling blood pressure. baroreceptors and chemoreceptors, and also you're getting also the esophagus, but you're also getting pointing up towards the brainstem, and that's all your function, your sort of regular functions of sympathetic and your breathing and that kind of things, the autonomic functions. And then get up here, you have, it's loaded with structures up here. You have the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, you have the pineal back further, you have the thalamus, hypothalamus, and all your reptilian sort of emotional limbic system also in there. And then finally up here, you have all this cerebral cortex, areas of conscious thought, et cetera. But so I just wanted to give an outline of that. And also even with the healing code, the different positions of the healing code, we're centering we're pointing actually toward the middle center of the brain. And that's where the unconscious emotions, we know that we have proven that that's where things are, in that limbic system. So it makes sense actually, when we're pointing in that area, the amygdala, there's all kinds of different anatomic neurological structures where there's different, it's like a railroad train station with different circuits everywhere. But anyway, we're pointing at different parts of that. So just wanted to make an anatomic correlation. But so that was the code for today. And
I just wanted to apologize. I had a podcast at noon with my good friend Jordan Rubin of Ancient Nutrition, and he was delayed and couldn't get in the studio till very late. So I got here the minute we were done, but it was too late. So I'm sorry, that's all. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be with all you guys, if only for a couple of minutes.
Alex.
Yeah.
Can we get your views on the topic though?
The pride, and this is a big one for me, because I'm a follower of Jesus, and Scripture says that pride is the root of all evil. It also says that money is the root of all evil. And I think those tend to go together. Money and unhealthy pride tend to go together. And that is sort of, to me, that's sort of what I call love A, which is basically it's all about me. What's in it for me? To me, that's unhealthy pride. What's in it for me? Healthy pride is like when I feel these warm, wonderful, positive feelings toward Hope or Harry or George or Dr. David or Johanna or Santo. And historically, we've called that pride. And you'll see a high school, tiger pride. Or we were at the college I went, we were the bison. So it was bison pride, okay? And what?
Bucknell? It wasn't Bucknell. My son goes to Bucknell.
No, not that one. But I think what we've been talking about with that, like pride in children and pride for your school, pride for your team, I would really call that more, in my definition, honor, which is, to me, truth and love combined. And so I believe healthy pride is what I call honor, truth, and love. Unhealthy pride is what's in it for me.
Nice. Yeah.
That's all.
That's exactly what was the question. Yeah, the question. And so if you say I'm too proud for this, that's totally different. That's like fear of failure or something.
Yeah, fear of failure. That's right.
Honor, healthy pride is honor. Wow. Okay. Man. But to get to where you're not, you're saying that it's pure emotion. It's pure good feelings that drives, I was talking about intention. Like when you say oh wow, I'm so proud of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's intention too. It's intention, it's feeling, it's thought, all of the above. But I I love what a lot of the militaries do. You know, in most of the militaries, whether it's Air Force or Marines or Navy or Army, their big thing is honor. And what that basically means is I've got your back, as opposed to having my own back, what's in it for me. And I think that's the difference. Unhealthy pride is sort of, yeah, I'm all about me. Healthy pride is, I think, what the military tend to call honor. I've got your back and you've got mine.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank y'all. So yeah, I'm going to have to bug out again. Sorry, but I did want to say hi, and I'm sorry I was late, but love you all, and hang around for the custom. Thank you, David.
Perfect. Thanks.
David, Johanna, April, everybody. Love you. Thank you.
That's all. Thanks for listening, everybody, and see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care.